Okay, YouTube, it's Sunday, August 14th, and since we had to order more fittings to finish up the fuel line setup we was doing on the Torino, we decided to go ahead and get the race car back together. And for those who didn't watch the beginning of the video on the Torino, here's what happened. I had to steal the fuel pump off of this car because the Torino's fuel pump decided to lay down on me on the way to the Street Rod Nationals last Thursday. So what I did while I was at Street Rod Nationals, I found a Holly Blue race pump. Now this one had a Mallory Comp 140, just like the Torino does. Actually, that is the pump that was on this is on the Torino now. And I decided to go ahead and buy the Holly Blue fuel race pump. It's a lot cheaper pump, but Holly has a good reputation. I mean, these old pumps are very reliable and tough and last a long time if you maintain them. And I'm going to get into learning, learning how to rebuild them. I've had a few go bad over the years, but we're talking 10, 15-year-old pumps. But they sell rebuild kits for all of these brands. But the reason I went with the Holly is because the Mallory is $260, I think, with no regulator, brand new. These are $125 with no regulator. That's what I got it for at the Holly booth at the Street Rod Nationals. You go on eBay or through Summit, you can get them for $135. And the only thing that I don't like about the Holly pumps compared to the Mallories is the Hollys are very noisy. Not good for the Torino, not really that big of a deal for this car, because this car is so loud, you're not going to hear it when it's running, just when you start it up. So I decided to go with the old, reliable, tough Holly pump for this. It'll be good enough for that. And hopefully it looks like those holes are going to line up. We're not going to make a new mount for this. I am going to get rid of these carriage bolts. That's a bad idea. They spin on you. As you can see, they were pressed into there, and you would think they'd hold, but that rounds that aluminum out. So I'm going to find some headed bolts to put on there and do that. But basically, it's all going to be the same setup that it was, but I am going to do just like I did on the Torino. I'm going to get rid of these ugly fuel lines. This one isn't too awful bad, but say like this one, look at that bend. That means fuel starvation, which this car ran pretty good. Who knows, maybe if I do it correctly, it might pick up a few numbers. Maybe it's just small enough of a starvation for you not to feel it, but the car to know it. So, that's what we're going to try to do today. And I have everything, all my fittings to go with the 8AN steel braided line. The rest of the car is plumbed with the good stuff all the way up to the front. I did that a while back. Like I said on the Torino, I used to cringe at the price of stainless lines and fittings. But once I did it, I fell in love with it because it lasts forever and it's so easy to work on. You just undo these, you just take a wrench and undo these fittings and you just lay it out of the way. You don't have no hard lines to bend or anything like that. So yeah, it's to me it's worth the money. So let's start getting some stuff done here. This is the way it was set up. Once again, another one of those things I did a long time ago, and now I just don't like it. Don't know why I did it that way. So what I'm going to do is there's 2 outlets, and there are also 2 outlets on the, or 2 inlets, which that's going to go to both of these fittings off the tank, which will feed into the filter. But I'm going to take this plug out, move it over here, put this fitting there, and just have me one straight, short hose going there, which means I will have to cut this, and I'll show you how to do the AN fittings, or the tube ends, hose ends as they call it. So we're going to fix that. Okay, sorry about the fan noise. I'm just going to talk louder because it's too hot to turn the fans off. Now, I've took tape and marked about where I think I need to cut it before I put my other hose end back on it and make it permanent. I'm going to go back and check my length. Wrap some tape around it, several layers. It's supposed to keep it from fraying. I think electrical tape would be better. This was masking tape within my reach, and I'm going to use a hacksaw to cut it. There are better tools for this. I don't have them, so this is what I'm using. The only reason you need like a hacksaw or some kind of better cutting tool is it's rubber inside, but steel braided on the outside. And when you saw it like it, always remember, blow it out. You do not want steel particles within your fuel line. Now I need to remove this. And I bet I don't have a wrench handy. Maybe I do. For that, I'm going to go back to the car to get the wrench. Yes, I do. Hang on. Okay, to remove the hose end, this is a 7/8. I got this nut right here held in the vise. And this should be kind of tight, because it's got all that hose slid on the vise. Squeezed in there. Let's try it like this. Yeah, this thing, I'll show you what this thing looks like here in a minute once I eventually get it off. It's a very thin nut, but you get a turn there. And hopefully you don't mess up the threads. Gotta clean it out real good once you get it. Didn't hurt those threads too bad. We used some anti-seize on them and I'll put it back together. And this comes right off. And the threads are looking pretty good. A lot of times it ruins them. I was told it's really hard to reuse them, but that worked out pretty good. Probably because even though I didn't do everything right way back when I did this, I did use my anti-seize. Now, to make sure I've cut my correct length, I'm going to go ahead, screw that on. Now let's take this tape off. I had a hard time believing that masking tape was actually squeezing that together tighter, but just in case. And I'm going to waste the video time just trying to get tape off. There we go. Watch out for the little steel stickers on the end though. They will bite you. I may need a little bit of a lubricant. Once again, I've heard this before, Vaseline is great for stuff like this because gasoline will dissolve it. It will run right through your fuel system and it won't hurt a thing. Okay, what you gotta do there we go, it's gonna Right there is about as far as it's going to fit. Actually, what you're supposed to do is put this on first. And that's where the tape comes in handy, so you can get it in here. Okay, it goes on like that, I'm sorry. And what you do is you screw it on. But like I said, before I make this tournament, there we go, that fits in there. And what you got to do, stick that in there like that, tighten it up, and it forces, kind of clamps on the hose, and it forces up that taper, which I have another bigger fitting right here. It just forces up that taper right there, and makes a nice hose in that doesn't leak. Now I'm going to make sure. Alright, I had to take quite a bit off of it. About an inch and a half, I guess. Misjudged it. Either too long than too short. Got some frayed ends on here. Let's cut these off. I really should get the tools to, but I don't do this very often, so. Tools to do this do make it easier. Just didn't want to spend the money. Okay, we're going to go ahead and screw that in. That has threads in there, by the way, that kind of bite onto your hose. You just turn it until it goes in, and then it flushes up against this stop up in there, and then you got more threads for this. Okay, and I'm going to, which I failed to leave some tape on the end. I don't have any electrical tape. I don't want to leave the this in there, which no gas is going to get to it. But the purpose of the tape is keep them little frayed steel braided ends from getting up in there. And you want some Vaseline. I told you you should use anti-seize. I'm just going to use the Vaseline to lubricate it, which doesn't work as good as anti-seize, but I don't really feel like hunting for my anti-seize. Maybe I'll regret that, I don't know. But I'll just kind of pop that taper in there, and now this, that will probably push that out. It might still be too long, I don't know. Let's go ahead and clamp this part gently in the vise. Remember, this is all aluminum. It'll probably push it out some. It may still be too long. We'll see. This is much more practical. As you can see, I had that one crammed all the way up against there. Actually, I don't really have to do that, I guess. I don't think it's going to leak if I leave it like this. Really spun that in the vise, not good. Okay, I'm going to leave that like that. If it leaks, we can always tighten it. It ain't going nowhere, that is for sure, because I was getting it pretty tight. I don't want to ruin those threads. Probably when I forced this one that far in, I didn't have it fitted all the way in there, but it still seals. We're pretty close, which, okay, I'm going to have to spin this out just so I can get it on. Might be a hair bit on the short side, but hopefully we can stretch it and hopefully it won't leak. Okay, I think it started. So we're going to be stretching this out a little bit. Hopefully that won't... Oh, see that? It's, okay, let's go ahead and tighten one end first. Going the wrong way, Mark. Kind of hard to get the exact length. First one was way too long, and now this one's a tad bit on the short side. But I'm hoping I can turn everything around. Yeah, it's going. It's going. Need a really thin wrench to get in there and kind of tighten that up. Hopefully that won't leak. I don't think it will. I may have a thin wrench. Okay, found a wrench. This came with, I think, my cutting torch. And it's got several different sizes. Plus it's thin and it fits that just perfect. Let's see if I can. It's pretty darn tight like that. Yeah, we don't want to. Okay, see how it moved that. We don't want that. You also don't want to over tighten these. These are aluminum and can be fragile. My bracket is not the sturdiest in the world, but it's been on it for 17 years, so it works. Okay, there's that part. I still need to... Is my camera on? Yeah. Just need to put that one on. Just go ahead and pull that through that holder a little bit. There we go. Give myself a little bit of play. And this is what I like about these fittings. I mean, you just... When you do compression fittings, once you take them off, especially when I had aluminum ones, once you take them off, they're no good. You got to redo them. And this, like I said, you kind of flinch at the price of this steel braided stuff, but once it's on there, you love it. And now we need to make 2 lines. We go from these 2 outlets. You can see both of them, yeah. And we're going into both of these outlets on the filter. And like I said, we're getting rid of this crap right here. Not good at all. Plus aluminum is... A rock could fly up and put a hole in that and cause all kinds of ugly stuff to happen. Okay, we decided to look into this little short hose I made here. I didn't like the way these two wouldn't butt together. Actually, it was on this end. I didn't like the way this wouldn't screw up all the way tight to that. Just you can see it's still a little close, but I got a lot closer because all the others just went together so easy. So I took it apart, redid it, looks better. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine now. And I got blessed with another hot steamy rain that makes it feel just so much more wonderful. It felt nice when it was coming down, even though I'm sick of rain. But yeah, so I'm gonna put this back on, and we also got these lines made, and I'm thinking of I'm going to make a piece. It'll just be a little flat piece, hopefully aluminum if I can find it. It'll just one self-threading screw will hold it in there, and the piece will go overlap the hose, be bolted to the frame, and overlap the hose, and it'll be curled around there, and that will keep these in place, and those will stay up in there. Maybe I'll zip tie them together, but that's my plan for that, and then hopefully we can start this thing up and be done with it. Oh. I just wonder if you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. Yep, kinda. Let me turn the camera there. There you go. And this little short hose, you almost have to take the fuel pump loose to get it in there. That makes it easier. do it like that, and hopefully do not mess up the threads. These have to be perfectly straight or they won't start, which is pretty much a rule for any thread. And it just makes everything go together easier if you leave everything loose. 7/8 wrench is around here somewhere. Isn't it amazing how tools just kind of disappear when you're trying to make a video? So that you can't just do what you wanted to do? Well, I know what the tool, where the tool is. Hang on. Found it. Tight enough. Like I said, you don't want to put them down too tight. And hopefully, yeah, we can let the seal pump down. 1/2-inch wrench is in the garage. I'm not going to get it. I'm going to use vice grips because the nut's spinning on me. Thought about going with 3/8 bolts and running a cap through these to keep that from happening, but I didn't. I'm kind of wishing I did now, but where those holes were kind of messed up, it probably wouldn't have held anyway. Okay, now we gotta wire it up. Okay, wiring's pretty easy. I already got the ground hooked up. I need to tighten that nut up. Got a little crimp-on connector for that. For the hot wire, I always just use, not always, but I like to solder connections. I think that's the safest way to do it. But I use the twist-on connectors like for house electricity because it's the quickest and easiest way to connect and disconnect it. I could make a plug. I was going to use that for stuffing that in there and just putting it up here where it won't come apart, but I'm just going to position this up here to where, and just kind of stuff it down behind the bracket so that it can't go nowhere. But yeah, I was going to use the rubber hose, but that thing doesn't fit very tight in there. So that's all there is to wiring. I don't think it's going anywhere. Even if it does hang loose, it ain't. I don't really like it. I like it in a place where it's not going to shake around and hang loose and stuff like that. So, could zip tie it somewhere. I just kind of got it crammed up behind the fuel pump. I think it'll stay, hopefully. Okay, so what's next? Oh yeah, the bracket I was talking about to keep my hoses where they're supposed to be. Show you what that looks like, and I guess we're ready to put some fuel in it and try it after that. Okay, there's my bracket. It looks crude right now, but I will sandblast it and paint it later on. Promise, I will. And everything's hooked up, and it looks a lot better than the crap I had on it. So, and I also, I still need to tighten that up, and hopefully I get time to put some gas in it, make sure it doesn't leak, and fire it up real quick before this crap hits. You might get to hear it run while it's thundering and lightning and pouring, who knows. Okay, you see what I mean by saying these pumps are noisy, but they're reliable and you won't hear it on this car. Looks like everything's nice and dry, and it looks better, and who knows, maybe it'll run a little better because we fixed some bends and fixed that, and you never know. Getting the right amount of fuel can be kind of critical, and hopefully we're still holding good fuel pressure, I don't know if you can see that in the dark or not, but we're getting just under 7. Cool. I think I only got a couple gallons in it. I didn't want to fill all the way up and then have a leak. It's fired up. Looks like we at least got it running just in time. It's starting to rain now. Probably going to pour. So we'll take that bracket off, the one that was holding the fuel lines up, sandblast it, get it painted, probably call it a day. Go back under there, put the bracket back on, and make sure all the fuel lines are tight. And here we go. Maybe next weekend we can go to integration. One more thing I have to do to it, and it's raining on us. I got some updated belts. I got to put them on. Maybe I'll do a video of that. Next week we're talking rain all week. I might get one dry day to cut grass, so I don't know if I'll be ready or not. This weather just isn't making anything easy. Thanks for watching.